Welcome. I'm Aaron Jack to the Aaron Jack Show. We're here with Doing Good HQ and Bitpixi. Casey, otherwise known as Bitpixi, will be here today. So I'm excited for today to share with you how do we understand the metaverse. Casey's a product designer at Crypto Voxels and a full-time mom. So let's welcome Bit. Thank you so much for joining. Hey.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, I love NFTs and I love the metaverse, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Amazing. So, in the metaverse, what drives you to build, to create, to make it what it's going to be tomorrow?
Okay, so there's different levels where I build in the metaverse. Let me just say how I started in Crypto Voxels. I started helping others, doing commissions for what they wanted their avatar to look like, because I really like expression. I used to work for a selfie company, Made2. I used to work for a GIF company, Giphy Cat. Like, I like people to be able to express their personhood online. So I started making wearables for others and make some good money from that. And then people are like, I want to share my world. I want to share my art, or I'm a live DJ. I want to do something during the pandemic where I feel like people are actually there. And so I started doing the build commissions, which is making like their gallery or their environment, or maybe even a game. And I was like, wow, I'm just kind of like Minecraft, building with these blocks and putting in, I'll go show an example. So, something like this. This is my Bitpixi's bar in Crypto Voxels. Yeah, and there are interactive NFTs in there. You can like walk up to the bar and buy a drink that you can then hold in your hand. Like, people go there to like relax like you would at a real bar. So, what else? I think, yeah. And then eventually I was like having trouble with the website because we have a lot of bugs, and we still do, and we're hiring more people. And I wanted to build a better, easier, seamless experience for Crypto Voxels. So my background is in user experience, user interface design. So I wanted to help with the product and the product design itself. And also give like themes to each island so people could get inspired. That's a new thing. Yeah, so long answer, but there's different levels to this. There's many ways you can make income. Like, I still do wearables. Like, I paid for events, paid for builds. I do my regular job. Like, there's just so much you can do, which is great if you're a full-time parent like me, or have a disability. Like, I have a spine problem. So yeah, the metaverse just affords people a really interesting way to like connect with other businesses online in a really hands-on way. So I have 3D environments that you don't get from just a website. So yeah.
Wow. So when we talk about the metaverse and we talk about its future, you've seen so much happen and you've been so involved in it. Where do you see that going, and how do you see that connecting with people in the future, especially with your background in UX UI? I feel like that's a part that's so much needed in the crypto space, crypto NFT metaverse spaces, good UX UI. How do you see that moving forward as more and more people get onboarded and into this where we're headed?
Sure. Well, I'll start with my longest term vision and kind of work backwards. So a future that I see is mixed reality. So the combination of virtual and augmented reality, where you can overlay anything to your environment easily, and it would be mainstream. Oh my God. Sorry, my kid's crying a little bit. So it would be mainstream to have overlays on anything. And this is what I see is us escaping what I call the glowing rectangles, the glowing flat rectangles. I think there's so much more, because computers, they used to be the size of a room, and you had to do all this stuff to just do a tiny computation, like a calculator computation. And they're getting smaller and smaller, and eventually so small that they'll become large. I'm using my hands a lot. That's the point. The point is we have different parts in our brain that work with like memory palaces that work in 3D in a way that you can't get on 2D. So it triggers like more of your whole body and soul to be immersed. But I think you don't want to be immersed and like ignore your regular life. So it has to be that combination. I can't even use my Oculus Quest to go into Crypto Voxels, because then my kid's gonna like fall down the stairs and I can't see, right? So I don't like that it doesn't have pass through. So yeah, I may or may not be on any secret mixed reality projects. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Mixed reality and may not be or may be on it. What do you see the future of mixed reality going, and what would like your dream of that be, especially as we go to like the world that you want to see? You know, not just technically, but kind of like from your heart, like what would you love to see that world, you know, look, feel like, people interacting? What would your ideal of that be?
So you can kind of see that, okay, let me start with how the metaverse is now. There's some questions about its development of how far will a metaverse go to, let's say, like sell out to VCs and to brands and track their users and serve them ads. And that's a big thing people are thinking about. When Facebook rebranded to Meta, they're cautious about their data, and they're looking into other metaverses like Decentraland and the Sandbox and Crypto Voxels, Substrata. They're just comparing all these lands. It's kind of like back in the day, you're comparing GeoCities and Linkfire, I don't know, different old hosting services. So yeah, will your hosting service be tracking you, using you, having these ads and stuff? So I kind of believe in the more indie vibes where you have more privacy and more freedom from those influences. People know I call the sandbox lately sellout sandbox. I'm still very jealous of them. I'm jealous of how they display their like light emissions. I'm jealous of how they figured out sharding and scaling like beforehand. But there's a certain vibe where hold on, I have to play this. Oh, you got it? He's got it.
Would you like to introduce him while he's here?
Sure. Yeah, this is Rye. He has his own Ethereum wallet. He has his own NFTs. He has his own land and galleries. And then I just make for him. He's not an artist or anything yet.
Not yet.
I don't know what he'll be. He can be anything. His dad was a programmer who had passed away. But yeah, Rye can be anything. And that's actually what I want for the universe, the metaverse and universe, is that people should be able to feel like they have the freedom to choose and change who they want to be. Like, change your avatar, change your brand a little bit, and not have to always be focused on getting the numbers and the sponsorships and whatever, and just feel like you're important as a person. Like, you don't have to be traditional successful. Like, you should just be able to connect with other people and feel safe and feel good and feel like you can, I don't know, talk about any mental health issue or whatever and feel okay that someone's not going to then just like, I don't know, try to sell you a thing because of it. Like, so yeah, it's about the vibes.
No, this is a really important thing. I think like you're really making me consider this. Like, oh, we talk about this mental health thing, and all of a sudden there's like an ad popping up about like the new pill that you've got to have. I mean, how like is that? Like, like how do we prevent this? How do we support this cause? I think this is it's an important thing that we speak about, so we don't have these like, we're not sold out, right?
Yeah, and I think there's a way to strategically partner with people and companies that are helping the community. And I just want to like plug you guys for a second. How I heard of Doing Good is because I live with someone in this house, the grandparent of Rye, who it's a charity. And I guess a certain percentage from the NFTs for the artists, a small percentage, they can say if they want that to go to charity. So it goes to her charity, which is like a domestic violence shelter. And I guess there are many other charities. So I think that's really cool. Yeah, I even worked on projects where, I'll talk about two projects. One, we made themed art and did a small percentage, 20%, to a person in our community's daughter who had cancer. So it's for her cancer treatment. And we raised the money so fast. And I was like, wow, are NFTs maybe the future of fundraising? Like, whereas we used to do GoFundMe or just collecting regular dollars, but I think, I don't know, NFTs, like, you move so quickly because you also get like a nice commemorative thing, and yeah, there's so many ways to go about it, more than just charity money. Like, there's like a whole culture you can be a part of. Yeah, so another one I did was, and how I learned about Crypto Voxels was through Rare Pizzas. It started in a audio chat like this, and they're called Room About Nothing. And someone was like, what if pizza was free? And what if we could give pizza to the whole world? And they're like, let's do it. And in 3 months, they gave like half, they made all these pizza NFTs. Half went to the artists and half went to distributing free pizza all around the world, like Asia and Africa and Europe and America. And it was in the Middle East, and people were like, oh man, I'm gonna open up, I didn't even know that it's pizza, I'm gonna open a pizza shop. And we raised I think $500,000 for the pizza and $500,000 to the artist in 3 months, I want to say. So yeah, I designed their pizzeria in the metaverse in Crypto Voxels. Like that's how I started building. And I had been studying, one more part of the story is I'd been studying Unity at the time. I was taking a New York University course on Unity, which is a very high fidelity game engine. And I was creating these complex environments with high detail. But when I was building in Crypto Voxels, I was like, oh, I can express the ideas so much faster. Like they've already made it so easy to use. And it was accessible. Like if you get a link, you can just go on there, any device. You don't even have to log in, and you can interact. So I think that that's the one thing people say they like the most about our metaverse compared with others, is it is accessible and it's freemium. I mean, you have free build spaces, and you can sell wearables by submitting them to a public collection. Whereas on the sandbox, I had to apply. I had land, it's worth like $16,000, and I have to apply, and I got turned down for making someone like a pair of shoes. Like, well, what? So I just felt like anyone can start in Crypto Voxels. You don't have to have crypto or money to start building, expressing yourself, or making money. So I thought that was really, really key. Yeah.
Wow. I think that this is really interesting as we explore like how we can express ourselves as artists, how we can express our identities, how we can be who we want to be. And we talked earlier about like, you know, what it is as you as a person, and then kind of this, you know, how do we integrate ourselves into these metaverse or audio chats, or be a human and have these conversations, you know, and build forward and find these different ways, how we express ourselves through fashion, how we express ourselves through space, you know, in an ever changing, evolving place like the metaverse, right? What's your view of that, and how do you balance that with like the physical, digital, like, you know, expressions of self, and where would you like that to go to make it better for like your child, or you know, the future?
Okay, that's a big question. Um, I guess one thing about that is, okay, I'll make an analogy. So if you're like a brick and mortar store, and during the dot-com era, and eventually you're like, I don't like the internet and I don't want to adapt, that's fine and that's cool. And I love like going out in the forest and just having nothing, no digital stuff. And you know, that's cool. But if you're a business, you're gonna cut yourself off from maybe helping people across the world. Like I said with the pizza story. So I would say, for my son, I would love for him to use the metaverse to get different perspectives than the ones that he can just locally hear. I would like him to connect with people from all over the world who have, and this is what I discovered, new foods that people create that they bring into Crypto Voxels. They make in Magic Voxel, and these foods and these holidays and these traditional garments from different parts of the world, and just things I I thought I knew all the things because I went to art school and I studied art history and I studied different places in the world. I thought I knew everything, but no, you always, always, always learn new cultures, new perspective, new way of life, and how people have their like what they consider family, what they consider friend, what they consider fun, what they consider to be work. Like there's so many more possibilities, and I just want him to be aware that yeah, it's not just our little town with this kind of demographic of people that are here. Like there's people everywhere doing a lot of different stuff, and you have to develop empathy. Yeah.
Well, I think this is a really interesting thing of like the development of empathy in the metaverse, in the from the digital sphere, and whether we're talking about, audio chat rooms, video, we're talking about virtual 3D space where we can actually see each other's facial expressions, you know, or like here, I'm very happy that I'm getting to see your facial expressions, like, in the audience as well. That's so beautiful to me. I mean, as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, how can we move forward to build empathy in a world, from audio to the VR to the mixed reality? How do you see that empathy building in the future?
Well, one thing I'd say is with with the facial expressions you're mentioning, this is a piece of information. And the more small pieces of information we have to gain context and to connect, you'll have less miscommunications. So one thing is language. And I used to work for a Chinese company, and I went over there and I would be like lost without my phone. Okay, I needed my phone, I needed WeChat, I needed Google Translate. Like, I, yeah, like, I would be stranded and confused without my phone. So, uh, I think that metaverses, and I've been asking them actually to do this, is like integrate more translation tools. Like on Twitter, if someone posts in another language, you can just click the button, like see the translation, and you can get a little bit more context. It's not perfect, but if you know the language a little bit, then you can like really understand. If you don't know the language at all, you can kind of understand, and just those translations between things will help in the metaverse, I think. So people need to consider that with their audio and their written chats. How can we bridge languages? And then the other, I lost it. Bridging languages. I talked about the visual cultural stuff. Yeah, I'll have to come back to it. I forgot. Cool.
Well, I think this is really interesting as we talk about empathy and what that means as we move forward, because I feel like so many people are like, well, might be like, oh, how do we find these parts that are so central to the human experience, as we bridge into the digital world? How do we find the part, especially like we can talk about art, or interior design. Akash is on here, so we talk about interior design, and we talk about bridging between the physical interior design world, and we talk about bridging that into the metaverse. What is that feeling? You walk into a space. What do you get that captures you? That's like, wow, I'm here, and that feeling that you're like that wow feeling. What how does that translate?
Yeah. Well, I'm working in a little bit of a secret project with some people with traditional architecture backgrounds, and yeah, I talked to someone who said in their practice, in their university, their teacher talks about it like those moments. And as you enter a space, whether that's a physical combination with the metaverse, I've seen some people put up like big screens, both ways at the moment. Is it a combo? Are you just looking in your headset? Are you looking at your screen? And then during each step of the journey around an area, like there are moments that you can create and like a story you can create. So that's what he was saying his traditional architecture firm was talking about. And he mentioned that the metaverse is helpful with these building tools and like saying Crypto Voxels, where you can make things that you can't physically make in real life, and you can make them very quickly. So you can prototype stuff and get a rough feel for how you move through space. As well, you can fly. You can fly in there. You can't fly in real life. So you have to account for the architecture of flying. I've learned ways that feel bad if I'm flying and there's a glass ceiling up here and I can't see and I hit it. I feel like a bird that's just struck the window. It's not good. Like, so you have to like, and it's weird because you really project yourself sort of into the space. Your mind goes there, so it can actually feel slightly painful in a weird way, like a pseudo pain way when your avatar hits this glass collidable part and you're like, I'm stuck, right? You actually feel stuck. So yeah, when people start building, they tend to make kind of constrained areas, and I would suggest maybe opening up a little bit, give a little extra room. This is the same for any 2D print media or websites as well. You want to make sure there's like enough room between things, and you want to put similar things that you want to emphasize as like that moment near each other, then give breathing room between another part of the experience. Yeah, there's so much I could say on this topic, and tips as far as like building and creating an effect. Like, people sometimes come to me every day in my DMs, actually every day. They're like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing. But then my question is, why? Like, why are you trying to group these 10 cubes? Oh, I'm trying to make a ramp that you can walk out onto the water. And I'm like, oh no, you could do it this way. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah. So it's not really like how to do it first. You have to think why and what is the effect you want first, and then someone with more experience building can help you to fill in those gaps. So you really want to reach out to other people who will just help you, like a step ladder. Just get your builds and your costumes and your integrated 2D websites and other material, like all in the way that you want people to feel, and you want them to experience. Like, I have a bar, so I have to make it like, I'll show it again for those who just joined. Like, I have to make it like, I don't know. There's an open dance floor area. There's an actual place where you can go and get drinks. There's a promotion on the big screen right now by my friend. And yeah, it just like give you enough room to dance. Before, my bar did not have enough room to dance, and people were like trying to dance on the table and falling off, and I had to like extend the width of the bar, because I didn't realize you're gonna be dancing on the table, I guess some people do it in real life. So, so to extend the table, you just look at what people are doing and try to make it easier for them, basically. Try to make it easier for them to do what they're already trying to do.
I think that this is a really interesting point. Make it easier for what people are already trying to do. And this is just a core design philosophy that I love, is when it's like, you know, there's all these like pathways, and there's special names, I think, for these pathways. You know, you always see like, you know, they're like paved roads, but then, you know, you always see these cut throughs that people try to, you know, that people do. And it's just like, this is just what people do. They do what they do. How can we build for what people are trying to do? And I love this about what you're saying. You know, look at the what and the why before, you know, before just like building it. What is the story? What are the elements that we're trying to engage? How are we trying to get people to feel when they're in the space? And I think it's very interesting as you bring up different contextual things that are now just different when building for the metaverse. What other things would you say that, you know, both can be translated from when we build in the physical world, designed for the physical world? What are some more similarities, and what are also differences? Like you said about the glass ceiling, what are other things that people can really look at? Because I know that people are maybe designing here and prototyping architecture for the first time, but there's also maybe some people who are familiar with design concepts and really need to understand that there's very different things that are here, that are happening, you know, not just in crypto voxels, but across different metaverses. And then there's very specific constraints and physicalities that are specific to, let's say, crypto voxels versus sandbox versus decentraland, and many others.
Sure. One example I could use that I think perfectly illustrates this is a guest book. So you've had concepts of people, even in the 90s, people visiting your site, and they want to see who visited your site, and like maybe they can leave a message. So there's been some form of a guest book for a long time. And in Crypto Voxels specifically, people would create either an image of a book that they just grab from the internet, or they'd make a Vox model 3D book and then add a link to the properties that would link out to a Google Sheet or something where people could leave messages. Now, we noticed that people did this a lot, and so what we did is we made it easier, and you don't have to use Google. You can just, it's very Web3. You can sign with your wallet. You sign this guest book, and it shows that your wallet has been there. We don't have a way to leave a message with it, but typically people are then connect afterwards. And a lot of people have been using it to provide like a token of appreciation that you've been there. They'll send, they have your wallet address now, so they'll send an NFT, whether that's like a 2D, I've seen postcard of their place, like, or 3D wearable. That's pretty common. So guest books are also, they exist in real life too. So when you go to like a wedding, for example, they may have something where you sign and congratulate the couple, and you may get like a gift, a take-home gift. So it's kind of a similar concept. It's very it's so human, I guess you would say. But what's different about it in Web3 is that you're taking that wallet signature, and you can also do similar in Decentral. Like say you go to Decentraland and you find a POAP machine. Now this is a specific company called Proof of Attendance Protocol POAP.xyz, I think, and we will also do an official integration with them eventually. They have specific like brown badges that they distribute on XDAI network, and you can like collect these. It shows where you've been throughout the year, like what events you attended. And some people are really into it. They'd rather show off where they have been socially at events. And I don't know, it's not that important. I guess it's not that important to me, because I'm like, I don't know if Joe Schmo is like really gonna care that I was at a pizza party, but um, I like getting the wearables personally, but but some people really like these badges. It's like collecting those pins in Disney World. It's like, oh, I went to this part of the park. Now I went to this part. It helps people who are into that completionist collector mindset in gamification, if you study gamification. But yeah, all throughout time and history, there's probably a way where people wanted to tell others, hey, I was allowed to go to this place, or I found my way to the, I don't know, King's Jester show. Right? So yeah, that's one example.
Wow, that's really interesting. Of like the different ways that we take away, that we go into digital space, digital and physical spaces, um, and give, we get things. I'm also curious about like going to a place and leaving tokens as well. Like, you know, like when I go to a place, maybe I want to leave like a stone or like a something in a place, or like because I think about like physical. I travel around the world, and I mean, and I see like people like they leave something, they give something, they take something. There's an exchange, and I'm very curious. Because we go through these things, I think, with empathy exchange, with cultural exchange, with physical fashion exchange. How do you see that exchange moving into the future as we look at NFTs, we look at wearables, we look at the metaverse? What is that exchange that you see moving into the future?
Wow. Yeah, yeah. Exchange is it's just huge on the blockchain because it makes it really easy to have a record and timestamp of, hey, this was our, I don't know, Valentine's Day party, and these are the things. like like when you're a kid in elementary school and you got the little boxes and like, oh, I got a Valentine's card, and oh, I gave this kind of candy, and I got this thing. Like, you have the time stamped record, and you got your stuff. Like, so it's similar to in the real world. One story I wanted to tell about that. In Crypto Voxels, you can add contributors to your parcel, or you can open sandbox it, meaning like you can let anyone place objects there. So you could choose to let anyone leave a stone there, or you could say, I only trust these 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. I'm going to put them on this list where these people are allowed to place something, because I know they're not going to mess up the rest of my stuff. Even if they mess it up, you can actually revert the build. So there's all these safeties in place now with Crypto Voxels where you have a lot of control over that privacy, and like who we're building out more, even like like token gated access for events. Like, you have to own this certain hat to go in the place, right? So yeah, it's all about your own curation. I added a bunch of people to my bar once and said, "Can you please graffiti everything?" So these graffiti artists and and stuff, they made these digital tags, and I had a truck out front actually. So just like you would see people tag graffiti on a truck in real life, like they had put their names on it. They put like Bitpixi so cool, like on part of it. They put their name and their business and their and just like little drawings, and they just stuck it on there. They stuck it in secret places in the building, and yeah, like it's cool to invite people to kind of mess with your place. So that exchange is basically you can decide and then invite certain energy. For example, my son has his wallet and he has his place, and he's too young to understand it at all. He's like 1 year old. But there are kids in the NFT world who are a bit older, who make their own art. Their parents help them and allow them in certain areas. And I opened up like his land for the other parents to build on to have a kids event, right? Because he's just not old enough to use it yet. So I was like, yeah, use it as long as you want. So they set up a bunch of just art everywhere. They were letting the kids build. You can stream music. You can do, I guess they weren't doing this, but you can also have like a Twitch or YouTube live, and ways where you can, if you're leading like an art making workshop, you can show your process. You can show yourself making art. You can have live music. So yeah, so it was cool to I used to be more constrained about my space. I'm like, oh, I got this. I worked so hard and I got my space and only I can touch it. And now I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I got NFTs, I got land, I got too much stuff. Like I start giving it away. I'm like, no, you can use it. So you get different parts of your journey where you're feel differently about exchange. like there's the clout side where you're like, I don't know, I want to get certain NFTs because it's like the best, most popular, most expensive thing. And then there's other parts where you're just like, I want to vibe with my friends. So exchange can really, it has different levels. Yeah.
Well, this is the really interesting thing because you brought up like the way that buying behavior of the NFTs, buying behavior of the parcels and ownership. And I think the ownership is very interesting, especially as we talk about I bought this thing, and then we talk about that ownership being of identity. Like this NFT creates identity that someone else created, and then we resell our identities. This buying and selling of identities in the metaverse. And I just find that interesting. How do you feel about, how this works, about this buying behavior, and also like how this buying behavior is linked to identities?
Mm. Okay, so I think that every person has different worlds inside of them, like different sides to them. Some people a lot more than others. So you see their that kind of reflected in their NFTs or lands sometimes. So there are some people who are all about like one topic, and they have one land and they collect this one type of NFT, and they're just very specialized. And then you see people doing different stuff in different places. You see people who want to be anonymous. I'm not that anonymous. Like people, you could probably easily find my regular name and generally what area of the world or state I live in. I'm not that secret, but there are some people who want their identity wrapped to like an NFT. Let's say they'll call themselves Bored Ape number whatever 9,000, something like that. So their ownership is their identifying more with this, like they're kind of creating a brand or associating themselves with other brands, just like how people would buy the most exclusive release Nikes or something, and they're saying they're a part of a certain brand or culture, or basketball and urban culture in that case, and high class fashion and this kind of thing. So there's always a vibe that you can create, and it's how you either separate yourself and your in real life identity with these digital identity or identities, um, and then how you separate your in real life identities. Like I'm a different person in my house and with my kid than I am if I were to go to NFT NYC and be, I don't know, doing presentations and with my company, like very company oriented, versus when I'm saying stupid words and playing with like Thomas the Tank Engine. I'm like beep beep boop boop. so so you have different think of it like compartmentalization. You have different modes of being in your real life that you can separate or you can blend, and you have different modes in your digital life that you can separate or blend, and then you can go the cross section of blending those or not. Like I tell people about my son and show pictures sometimes. There are people who say my kid is not going on the internet at all, nothing, I'm going to talk about them. And then there are those like family bloggers who it's their everyday thing. And as long as I think you're just respecting others' freedom and time, if they say, hey, I don't, if they pull back and say, hey, I don't want to be a part of this anymore, or I want to do this other thing, and respecting when people want to shift and change their brand or like sell their Bored Ape and become something else. Like some people get mad. They're like, why would you leave the ape community by selling? And you're like, no, you're not really leaving the community. Like they're providing their family with, like the Bored Ape community provide their family with all this money then to get a house and get a grad school or whatever they want to do. So there's a lot of in group, out group, which is a thing, but I also see it as more like a process, or like you can jump in and out of groups. Even if you don't own an NFT, you could still you can still talk to people who own Bored Apes. You could still be part of the community without yeah. And that's why Crypto Voxels, I'll bring it back to Crypto Voxels and then I'll wrap that up. I like that Crypto Voxels, you have the free spaces where you can build and you can publish the avatar wearables without owning anything to a public collection. And you can do a bunch of stuff and collaborate with people if you're strategic, and even like be given free places to build or rent places and be part of it without selling your soul or all your money, right? So I want people to know that they have more freedom than they think to be who they want to be and to change who they want to be. Yeah.
Wow, this is really interesting, I think. Uh, as we come down to our last, few minutes here, maybe 10 more minutes or so. Um, I'm really intrigued by this, like from a sociological standpoint, as you're, building these architectures, you're telling, you're providing so much for other people who are building these architectures, building their own fashion and brand identities. They're figuring out who they are. They're figuring, I mean, they're not just saying, this is who I am, and then but they're also like moving their own identities as they move through the physical world. I know, like, I've known so many people on Clubhouse through the last year and something, that have, we've been building, finding new parts of ourselves, that it's not just like, oh, this is who I am, but it's like, we're growing as people, and like the in groups and out groups are dynamically changing
Yeah.
through all of these things. And I wonder, just like, what is that, as we build, we grow these digital spaces, we grow these physical spaces that are connected, that are connected with it, these mixed reality spaces. And then there are all the in groups and out groups that are playing a role. What comes up for you, as we move forward? There's so much good, so much bad. What's coming up for you? What are you seeing?
Oh man. I think I'm gonna answer that in a way where I I don't know the answer. And that's what excites me about NFTs. I started in NFTs in 2017. I was looking at the CryptoPunks and the Mooncats, but I didn't get any. I just thought like, well, this is really cool. I did start buying CryptoKitties, a lot of them, which ended up not worth anything. But it's not. But it wasn't. It was never about that uh, return for me. I'm just looking. I'm like, what is this new thing? This is cool. This is different. I didn't know you could do that. Um, and when I was looking through NFTs last year, I was like, whoa, I've never seen or imagined this stuff in my eyeballs. I felt like I was tripping out. um, so yeah, I guess the answer to like what do I see in the future is I won't be able to predict it. I wasn't able to predict the market of crypto of Mooncat versus Crypto Kitty. Why does this kitty um, more interesting than this kitty? I couldn't predict that. I can't, in times of my life, yeah, I can't predict really whether I'll be rich or poor, or I'll, lose a friend, or I'll get a friend, or uh, I can't predict um, the art and music that will come out in 10 years. And that's what's so exciting about it, and addicting, and novel. I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow. And here's one funny thing. So next to my bar in Crypto Voxels, you can nudge stuff over a bit. And I put this volcano on my neighbor's plot, which I know is not very good. I'm not being a good admin, model behavior. But it's very contextual. I have talked to this person, and they did say they were going to build. And I do this nice volcano to get their attention, to say, hey, come back, help me delete the volcano, build, I want to be your neighbor. Some people could do this same thing in a mean way. They could, yeah, let's call it like griefing. So they can attack someone's parcel with, like, I don't know, stuff they feel would personally hurt them, or hate speech. And we don't allow that. Admin will step in and not allow that. But yeah, you have to think it within yourself, what, from a day to day, what can you do to, like, send a message? Are you helping people, or are you hurting them? And ideally, we want to lean towards helping in the metaverse and in real life. And so that's why I'm glad that like I'm talking to you, Doing Good, who also has all these charities and helps people. Oh, someone just like popped in front of the volcano. Who is that? Oh, it's
Oh my God.
I think
So they can go there right now. You can just tell everyone where to go and people can pop up on your screen.
yes. I think they're in the chat. I think they're actually in this chat as well on the IG.
Oh my God. So
they're photobombing. They're doing Metaverse photobomb.
Oh my God. From IG Live to like photobomb. Who is it? Tell me.
It's Nexter A Gamer.
Oh my God.
He's in the chat.
That's amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, this is a strange world where we can be like video live and then we're digital live, and I feel a strange mixed reality going on here. It's like text to video to like VR. What is happening?
Yeah. That's the surprise. Like I cannot predict that I'm next will jump in photobomb. Like that's what's so cool.
And then he's commenting. He's like, next level. He or she. Next level.
There they go.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's funny.
Thank you for your participation. This is how you know that we're live.
Yeah, I could talk forever about this stuff, but like when you see the weird immersion, I mean, they changed to, what did they change to? A peanut? Wait, come back.
Wait, come back to the volcano. We want to see you.
I'm going in.
Oh my God.
What are they? A bear? Holding a mug of coffee.
Okay, can they go buy a beer now?
They could if they wanted.
If they wanted to.
They've
Do you want to go buy a beer?
Let's move in. Let's look at the selection. I'm looking.
Okay, look at the selection. Oh my God, you've got so many drinks. This is awesome.
Root beer, sad, happy drink, sad drink.
Do you have a happy hour?
Drink.
Can you make a happy hour?
I can make a happy hour with discounts. Of course, I can make events anytime.
Okay. That's. I mean, I'm just like intrigued by that. Like, and then we think about time zones and like, what does that mean?
Someone else came. Good guy.
Oh my
Crypto.
God. What? Who?
Good guy crypto.eth.
Perfect.
So anyone? Yeah, they're dancing. They're flossing. This is the flossing dance.
Oh my God. So like while we're live, we're having a dance party in the metaverse inside your bar.
There's me.
Oh my God. Can we see you?
I got to turn around.
Yeah, so what are you wearing?
I'm crying. I got a strawberry hat on from my friend Strawberry's birthday. I'm holding a beer. I got a dress on. I've got some pastel shoes, and there's like a fairy behind me because I'm Bitpixi, so I have wings, right?
Oh God.
And I have another costume where I'm a box. Hold on. Let me change it. There, I'm a box.
That's amazing.
So I can walk around like a box. Oh, hello. Marsha McFly dropped in. Now everyone's photobombing. Hello. She's in the chat too.
That's amazing. Feel free to chat here. Because it doesn't. There isn't really the way to chat. Like, there's a way to audio chat, but there's no way to like write chat, right?
No, you can. You can definitely write stuff. Hold on, let me show you the.
Okay.
So she has said something.
Okay.
MVP dope. Okay. So the chat is over here on the left. And you have to be logged in. Actually, you have to be logged into chat. So that might be why you thought there was no chat. But there's
Oh,
also
okay.
audio chat, and you can join a private conversation here. And that way
Um,
I could have a group conversation with these people, and we could go to a different part of the island, or we could and still be connected on the chat, like we're doing here. So we're making it a little bit more like IG, a little bit more like Twitter Spaces, like Clubhouse, by adding this. And the only reason we started examining that, oh hey, Astro Cryptids, they have so they have on this was someone in our community who passed away this week. A lot of money, and he's very famous. He's very OG. He has this 4 eyeball Monty Python black and white trope. So this is a tribute avatar towards him and his legacy. It was maybe our first like funeral in the metaverse, in this metaverse of our community member. So yeah, he liked the parties. We did some parties. We did some more traditional memorial garden with this art. Oh man, everyone's popping in.
this
Yeah.
is crazy. It's like, so we're talking about like memorial funerals. We're having parties. We're like life is a interesting, strange place in the metaverse
Yeah.
where we're also like talking about them from the IG live popping into the metaverse. Like, this is
She's
amazing. This is amazing.
got
I
her
just have to say,
interview camera.
right?
It's like an interview camera and a microphone. Wow, so meta.
Oh my god,
Meta,
how
meta.
meta are we gonna get? I don't.
This goes so many layers deep, people. Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop.
And we didn't know. We didn't plan this. I didn't plan.
Yeah. Bitpixi throws awesome parties. The future already happened yesterday. What? Okay. Okay.
Because they're commenting on this IG live.
Yeah.
I see what you mean by just like, you know, the glass seal. Like it's a very there's a feeling to like people popping into our party and, you know, having the likes and commenting and then running around the metaverse, like,
Yeah.
and then how do we like have, you know, and then these like sociological things of like, how do we have funerals, how do we celebrate people, how do we have, you know, how do we just go out for drinks and do something simple, you know? So it's like not just the mute, like the we're going out for drinks in the metaverse and like, but we're also like celebrating like and commemorating people and figuring out like, how do we do this, how do we have these very visceral experiences and be there for each other, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would say. And how can metaverses help ease that and facilitate that? Like for example, with a lot of monies passing, a lot of people ask like, will his builds be preserved? Do you have backup files and systems? And yes, we do. We have a lot of backups, and we have them also on decentralized IPFS networks and stuff, as well as our own like multiple server saves. Um, yeah, so yeah, there's that wanting permanency, I think, in blockchain and Web3, that you want to know something will always be there. And that's an interesting concept in itself to think about. But yeah, so it's all different. Oh man, everyone's dancing.
Oh my god, how many, we've got a lot of people going on partying here.
Yeah.
Everyone's just bringing their friends. We're just
It's so funny. And like the hearts they're doing in okay, we're gonna do a double hearts. So I'm gonna throw hearts in here, and people are gonna throw hearts in the IG live. You see the white hearts and the red hearts.
Oh my God.
In the IG.
Can we I want to be able to throw our video of IG live into the space at the same time. That would be crazy. Can we do that in the future?
Yes. Next time.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Next time. We're gonna do that.
Yeah.
And then we'll
because then it will be up on the screen, the big screen right here behind me.
Oh my God. That would be crazy. Next time we're gonna do that.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'll be like meta, like chatting and video, like
You have to see to experience, right? Like
I love it. This is blowing my mind here, and I really appreciate your time. I know we're running up on our time, and I just want to say I really, really appreciate you being here with us today.
thanks.
It's been incredible, and I feel like my view of the metaverse is expanded. So thank you.
Oh, good. Yeah. So much fun.
So is there anything else you'd like to share as we wrap up today?
For anyone tuning into this video later, if you're going to check out cryptovoxels.com and it's not there, it's because we rebrand to voxels.com. So we're dropping the crypto, just like the Facebook went to Meta. Crypto Voxels will be voxels. So if you're tuning in this later and can't find us, that's why. And the last thing I'll say to people is just keep experimenting with who you are and who you want to be and what you want to do in life and what you want to build, and just know that you have you can always change and you have more potential than you realize. That's it.
Well, okay. And people need to find you on the internet. Where can people find you?
I'm Bitpixi, so I'm on Twitter a lot. They can also find me in world at Bitpixi's bar, which you can find on the search bar. Instagram Bitpixi, pretty much Bitpixi everywhere. Bitpixi. Yeah.
Amazing. And you're welcome to a couple last words as well now that we're like wrapping up. Because I appreciate that whole thing about identity and like how people can change, and that's like so incredible.
Yeah, about that part, I learned that through struggles, because when so I'll say this last thing, since you're about charities and doing good and mental health and all kinds of great stuff. When I was like in a deep depression, I had tunnel vision. And I thought, this is the end. There's no way out. There's like, I'm just trapped. Everything's hopeless. And then I had to slowly relearn just how to do like basic self-care. I mean, just start with saying, I'm focusing on my breath, or I'm going to wash my face. I'm going to make a piece of toast. That can be so hard in those dark moments. So just do a little tiny thing. And then eventually that tunnel vision will go like this. And you'll be like, whoa, I am actually okay, and I can get to a safe place, and I can make different friends, and I can get out of that shitty thing, whatever the thing is, job, relationship, whatever, self-loathing, right? You can change. So if you believe that you can change and transform, then that's a lot safer, healthier mindset to keep yourself in. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.
So thank you so much for joining here. I'm Aaron Jack, Aaron Jack Line Art. We've been here with Doing Good HQ, and I'd like to thank Bitpixi so much for joining us, and each and every one of you for joining us, whether you're here now or here whenever now is. I really appreciate it as we've explored the metaverse, identities, changing identities, finding that little bit of beauty inside the self. I really appreciate you being here and seeing how the metaverse uh, moves through our lives, that we can have parties and funerals and joy and sorrow, how we can be in the future and know that it's going to be okay and we're going to find empathy with each other. I think that that there's a piece of that that we can bring into that and that we can move the world as we need to. I love exploring identities as we shift and move, as we invite artists into our spaces, as we create spaces for others, as we also are able to go into other spaces and change it for the better and help others. So thank you so much for being here today, whenever today is. I'm Aaron Jack, and I'll see you next time right here on Aaron Jack Show. Thanks so much.